Hey, it's Mazzy here. Welcome back to the channel. Forgive me, viewers. I have sinned. It's been 11 days since I posted a Beatles-related video. That was the Wings video. Prior to that, 14 days, the Beatles versus the Rolling Stones Aftermath. And today, I'm going to present to you the Beatles Anthology. This is the collection, the Anthology collection, all for 3 LP sets. Now, I'm presenting the vinyl box. It emulates the CD box, but I'm a vinyl person, even though I listen to compact disc too. And right off the top, I was really surprised how good these records sound. They're extremely dynamic. They're very well pressed. They're quiet as hell, just really good records. Now, when this was announced several months ago, I made a video and heads were exploding then because Apple originally released this only as the full box. Volume 4, the extra 3-record set that had some tracks taken from the various archive series, from Let It Be, Get Back, to the White Album, to Revolver and Sgt. Pepper. Some of the extra tracks, the bonus tracks, the outtakes, the demos were on those collections. And some of them are repeated here in Volume 4, along with about half new pieces here. But whatever you think about that, I kind of like what they did here. Now, Apple finally acquiesced and said, we're putting it out separately so you can buy, you don't have to buy the whole box set. So there was joy in the world because of that. And I've been listening to this. I haven't listened to the first 3 volumes. And my understanding is Giles Martin worked on the audio, updated the audio for the documentary, the 10+ hour documentary that's going to be presented on Disney Plus with an extra episode. We haven't seen that yet. It opens on Thanksgiving Day 2025, and we'll roll out there. I have no idea if it's going to come out on Blu-ray. I assume in a year or so. It probably will, but nothing has been announced. So you're going to have to pony up for a Disney subscription. That's where you're going to see it. I'm looking forward to that because I love the Anthology documentary. So I'm going to showcase this. Again, I'm emphasizing Volume 4 because 3 is pretty much the same. There might be some tweaks that Giles Martin did because of the documentary that possibly carry over here, but I'm not quite sure about that. These are all 3-record sets with tri-fold sleeves. This replicates the same one as before. Now again, you know, Beatle fans, like Dylan fans, like Springsteen fans, like so many other fans, the obsessives heads explode when they saw this cover because they felt it didn't have an original Klaus Vormann artwork like the other volumes. It took the 3 panels and recreated this entire 3-panel design that Klaus originally designed 30 years ago. But I quite like it. I think it's a nice addendum. Think of this as a separate chapter, even though it's part of the whole scheme of things. So if I was leader of the world, I would have rejiggered this entire set. I would have started from scratch, incorporated these songs into the other volumes, and create an entirely new series. I would have taken off the live tracks. I think the live tracks break up the flow of the studio, the wonderful starts and stops, the wonderful little pieces of dialogue, the laughter. I think the live thing should have been taken away, added to more live tracks, and made a separate 3-record volume, or whatever the length is, a separate live anthology. But it's not going to happen. And also that would have pissed off people if they had to buy everything again. At least making it a separate volume at the end allows people to buy it separately. And this goes an entire career from the 63, the first album, all the way through till the end of their recording career. Whereas each one goes in chronological order there. You got a separate entity here. So this works as a separate thing, but it is a part of that. Think of it as an extra chapter, an epilogue, some great music on here. And I just love the way this flows. I love the listen of this. And aside from the individual members, it's amazing how tight they are as a band. Once they get playing and they get through a song, I love this band. And I'm gonna go through this Anthology 4. I'm just gonna bring up a few tracks that really stand out to me. By all means, I'm not gonna mention every track, but I just love it. It opens up with a great rousing version, take 2 of I Saw Her Standing There. I mean, Paul kicks ass. You realize how tight this band is and how tight and on beat Ringo is all throughout this album. No click tracks in these days. No headphones in the beginning of this. They were on time. They were cool. They were doing these songs 2-3 years, like 8 hours a day from the Hamburg days, the Liverpool clubs. This band was one type mother of a band. They go in a really wonderful, rousing version of Money, and John just sings his heart out there. This boy, there's 2 different takes combined. They start with one, they finish with another, they stop and start. It is basically, look, takes 1, 2, and then I guess 3 and 4. It's hard to see. This type is sometimes so small. But the harmonies, I always love their 3-part brotherly harmonies in a way. Their voices blend beautifully together. The harmonies like This Boy, Yes It Is, which is not on this, or on Abbey Road, on Because. I wish they did more of those kind of blending harmonies. They really learned from the best, from the Everly Brothers and you know, those vocal groups of the early 1960s, late 50s and early 1960s. And they just do it beautifully on here. And the recordings, it's so great, these recordings from Abbey Road Studios. I could go through everything here and probably everything I like. There's nothing I dislike on here. Every Little Thing is, of course, one of my favorite songs. I Need You. I Need You here is one of the favorites here. This is George Harrison without the background, without the Lennon-McCartney harmonies. He's strumming the guitar. You have the percussion on here, but it's very minimal. And George is out in front. It's kind of like an unplugged, George Harrison unplugged. And it's one of my favorite things on this entire record. I've Just Seen a Face, of course. You got take 3, and you hear obviously Paul McCartney doing his Lonnie Donegan skiffle thing. Of course, hearing those things, you really long for that upcoming, hopefully, Rubber Soul and Help Expanded. There's a lot going on here. I just think it's so great hearing that. In My Life, too, it's great to have the piece without the George Martin sped up piano in the middle of it. I mean, we've heard that on the other anthologies where there's a lot of great music we know. You don't have the overdubs yet. You don't have various instrumental overtones. That's one thing I want to point out. I actually love almost like interludes here, almost like bridging between the songs, these segments of orchestration. Now, George Martin wrote some great pieces, some great orchestration to go over some of these classic Beatles songs, and you have a handful of them on here. We had that before on the other anthologies, but I just think it's a beautiful way just to kind of give you a moment of pause and beauty to listen throughout. One of the instrumental tracks on here, the orchestrated tracks, is She's Leaving Home. I'm kind of surprised they did that because that wasn't a George Martin creation. Paul was so in a rush to get this done where George Martin was away on holiday. George Martin wouldn't come in, and so Paul brings someone else to do that. But it's really beautiful. It's really well done. And of course, it was used on Sgt. Pepper. So this would be a cool separate disc of these orchestrated pieces, like a record store day disc. I'd love to see that separately on here. Strawberry Fields, take number 24. I can't get enough of Strawberry Fields. This is a faster piece that was used to edit down when they sped one up, slowed one down, the magic of George Martin at the end where John says, fix it. This is a beautiful version with the orchestration. Now, I am a big fan of Strawberry Fields. I think it's one of the best records the Beatles ever made, and it's what a cool song that John wrote while in Spain working on How I Won the War. And I do have this really cool CD bootleg that starts with the acoustic version of that in Spain, and goes through all these different variations, and then John and then the Beatles working it through until the final climax of the great magic that the Beatles and George Martin put together. And I think it would be cool, again, to have an entire record, about an hour record of all those takes. Not for the faint of heart, not for the mild fan, but Strawberry Fields is such a perfect piece of music. And to hear that progression, like looking at outtakes and sketchbooks of an artist building up to the final painting, I think that is one of the best things on here as well. Baby You're a Rich Man is sublime. The bass on that, you don't have the overdubs, that electric thing going on the final. I think that's killer. The bass, the guitar, it rips. And John Lennon and his vocals at the end of that, where he goes on and on and on, is incredible. It's tight, it's rocking, it's ballsy. It's, again, another one of my favorite pieces on this album. Fool on the Hill is the instrumental with the flute. That's kind of a nice piece. You got the backing track here of I'm the Walrus, the strings. Beautiful, again, as I said. Those string sections are really wonderful. Hey Bulldog, that amazing piano. Now that goes as an instrumental as well. That piano, and the way the band is so tight before the vocal overdubs. I just love that too. Good Night. Good Night also is one of my favorite pieces here. It's not with the orchestration or the full choir. It's one of the few combo pieces on here where Giles takes one take of take 10 with the guitar and another take of take 5. And he adds the guitar part, and you hear Ringo singing without the big, lush, schmaltzy orchestra. Now, I love Good Night. I think it's the perfect ending to the White Album. But this is a nice alternative. It's more organic. It's not as schmaltzy, but it's really kind of a beautiful ballad. And so, I remember when I first heard that John wrote that instead of Paul, I was very surprised, although a lot of the beautiful songs like this are John Lennon, very personal, especially around this time. Like the version on here, there's a version of Julia on here, and it's stunning, it's emotional. And he's going through, and he even mentions, he ends up not doing that little guitar picking thing that he picked up from Donovan. He doesn't do that here. This is just strumming, getting through the song. Yeah. And then there's While My Guitar Gently Weeps, take 27. We know that song. This song has been, again, included on the White Album extras, but it's still a great song to hear throughout here. And I love it a lot. Helter Skelter. No, it's not the 27-minute version that everybody wants, but it's still a kind of great, wild take. And you have a little bit of the banter leading up to them doing that. That is take 17 on that. Side 5 of the 3-record set gets into the Get Back, Let It Be material. And I really like that, but I've heard that so much over the last several years, especially because of the Get Back documentary. It didn't interest me as much. I'll get back to it at another point. There's a nice version, You Never Give Me Your Money. You have Don't Let Me Down, the rooftop performance, one of those. So it's excellent stuff. I'm just kind of not in the mood of that right now, but the rest of it is unbelievable. Then we get to side 6. Side 6 are the new tracks. New in terms of Beatle history, the Threedle tracks. Opens up with Free as a Bird. Now you have the versions from 30 years ago on the other anthologies already, intact as it happened. These are new remixed versions. Mal AI, that is the Peter Jackson software. It's not AI, it's not replacing anything. It's extracting vocals and cleaning up and getting rid of some of the stuff around John's voice, or depending on a live thing in future, it'll get rid of some of the extra noise around a performance to make it more listenable for most people. They take his voice, they clean it up, but it's not slick clean. It's actually really nice. But I liked the original of Free as a Bird from 30 years ago, because I like where John Lennon always liked to have this double track sound of his voice, or altered voice, or sped up or slowed down, or or sung through a speaker instead of a microphone. He always wanted to put some kind of effect on his voice. And that's why I think 30 years ago, Free as a Bird worked so well. And it was my favorite of the two tracks at that point. It is cleaned up now. It is really good still. I don't have one preference over the other. I didn't do a major back and forth. But then you get into the real love, the more poppy song. And I liked that years ago. It wasn't my favorite. But now you have a different mix. And interesting about this is not only is the mix different, and they extracted the voice from the cassette apparently there's another demo vocal that Sean presented to them as well. So you have two vocal versions that are kind of intertwined together. So it's different. The lyrics are slightly different. The one thing that puzzles me, there's a great guitar riff on the earlier one, a little lead guitar passage that George does. And it seems to be tampered down now. It's not quite there like it was 30 years ago. But I still like this piece, but I think I prefer 30 years ago better than the new one. That's probably a subjective thing. Again, heads are gonna explode, and I'm sure they are already in some cases. When everything is different and you shake the boat, people get upset. Some people get upset. And then, of course, Now and Then ends it. And Now and Then is the new song from just a year and a half, 2 years ago. I was not enamored with that song 2 years ago, and I remember being really turned off by Peter Jackson's video. I thought it was kind of cheesy, the video for the song. I like it more now here. It's the same version as far as I know that was put together in the last few years. And I think it works now, and I think I appreciate it in this context with the other extra Threedle songs. I like the ominous nature of the song, the mood of John Lennon's vocal. It's kind of dark, but I think it's really beautiful, and it's probably a perfect ending to this anthology series. I think it's the ending. Who knows? We might get Anthology 5 in another 30 years. I won't be around to experience it. Anthology 4. This really works. This works as a good listen. And you get this landscape, this history of this 7-8 year period all on one 3-record set. And I suggest, if you're a Beatles fan, this is like, you can't even not have it. It's an important record, and it sounds incredible. At least the vinyl sounds incredible. As I said, I listened to the Apple, and if you want to stream it, you can stream it for free, because streaming is basically free, even at $15 a month. That's free with all the millions of songs you get. But you have to invest in these kind of things. The difference here, the tag, is additional production and mixing by Giles Martin. Obviously, the first 3 volumes say George Martin on it. I love the stretch canvas style design, which was on the original 30 years ago. So what's next for Beatle fans? More from the vaults. Everybody wants Rubber Soul. I hope you include the American LP in there too, all analog. This is the Beatles Anthology. This is the Anthology Collection. This is 12 LPs, 4 3-LP sets. And the one to get, if you have all those, is Anthology 4. And remember, 30 years ago, a lot of people weren't buying vinyl. So it's great they made these available again for people who have gotten into vinyl, and new fans. There's always new fans. So thanks for watching. Enjoy the music. Mazzy loves you.